we request you to get ready to discover groundbreaking solutions and innovations as our sponsor ClearTouch takes the stage to showcase their latest offerings in customer experience enhancement. So let's welcome with a roaring round of applause Mr. Uthaman, Bakthikrishnan, EVP ClearTouch.
Good morning. How are you all doing? Okay, so all of you are still awake or ready for some more fun? Because I'm not here to give you any lecture, I'm not here to share you any slides, and I'm not here to talk anything about the technology. Okay? So this is being the experience, customer experience. So let's see how you would like to experience whatever that may be, right? And then what a technology can do for it, right? So I'm thinking it from that perspective. Let's make it very simple. And how would you like to be explained about something? Let's say if you are going to buy a car, how would you like to be explained? So this has a 480 horsepower, and then this has this many ampere battery storage, and it takes like this many hours, and would you like to be explained that way? Or this car handles the cornering very well, and it can accelerate this much, and you can take off like this, and you may need 15 minutes to charge your battery to off 50% of your capacity, right? That resonates well with what we are going to use, how we are going to use that particular product. That's all to it, right? So yeah, so let's keep that in mind, and then so we'll keep it simple. So how you want to go about it. So we are talking about AI, generative AI, and how we are experiencing the changes that are coming along in the last couple of years, and how it's going to make our life easier, right? So there was an instance that happens in the domestic airlines, right? So this is what a customer wrote to the airline saying thank you for misplacing my luggage a couple of times in the last 15 days, and I look forward to flying with you soon. This is the email he sent, and then there was a response back from the bot saying thank you for writing to us, and we are happy that you loved your experience. We want to continue providing that experience and look forward to your next flight with us. What just happened? So technology can help. Technology can do what you want it to do, but you have to use it in the right way, and you have to know how to train it, and you have to know what are the check you have to have, and put it to the right use and the right way, right? Otherwise, it can do an entirely unintended consequences, and you don't want to end up in that kind of a situation, right? So given that scenario, I want to talk about this experience that is shared by one of the panelists with me a few months ago. So this experience, what moved him, right, from Emirates Airlines. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the airlines, all the experiences, it just happened to be that way, nothing personal. So the Emirates Airlines, what it did, this gentleman was flying out to Los Angeles for one of his conferences or meeting with a customer, and then they looked at his passport, and then they did a little smile, and then they called his name after a few minutes to come to the emporium, where they are the ticket counter, everything, and then so they announced that you are being upgraded to business class. He was pleasantly surprised, and he didn't know the reason, and then that lady politely explained, sir, you are flying with us on your birthday, and we want to recognize and we want to appreciate your business, and we want to upgrade your business class. He was really happy. And then when he was in the flight, he was given a little cake and appreciated again, given a couple of champagne bottles, and all the way to the finishing touches, he was even given a ride back home wherever he wanted to go. So why I'm explaining this experience from that gentleman is airline going out, like, to recognize somebody is flying on his birthday to do his business, and like, they thought, what better way, like, I can recognize his patronage to the airline, because he has been, like, flying that airline for many, many years, and it was not, like, anything unusual, but they decided to, like, do that. So what it did is, it made a lifetime commitment from that customer towards that airline, right? So now he says probably to me, wherever I go, the first thing I would look at is there an Emirates airline going that route? Or if there is any other way, if they can take me there. Like, that's how I plan my trips. Like, what a nice, like, way to acquire a, like, customer for a lifetime, because many of you in the industry, it is really difficult to acquire a customer, and a lot more difficult to keep up with the customer, because the choices and what are the, like, the freedom that they have to choose, and the reasons to choose a different product or services are very, very, very high, right? And if you have to be in the game, like, how would you be able to, like, retain that customer is, like, giving that kind of a experience, and, like, making it enable that the agents, like, I don't even want to use the word agent, like, they are the ambassador, right? Because they are the one carrying your brand. They are the one, the customers are interfacing with your brand. Like, so if they are not the ambassadors, who else can be your ambassador for the brand, right? So now let's talk about like different scenarios, like, the industries that face with given the technology and the AI and everything, like, what are the things, right? So art of choosing. There was a speech given by Sheena Iyengar in one of the TED Talk. So what she was mentioning is, she's been to Japan for business trip, and then she was in a cafe, and she asked for a tea, green tea, and they gave her green tea, and then she asked, can you give me a couple of sugar cubes, because I like my tea a little bit sweet. And that particular server told her that, ma'am, one does not add sugar in tea. And she was really puzzled. Oh, maybe this is the way in Japan, but I like it a little bit more sweet. And he insistently said, no, ma'am, like, one does not add sweet to the tea. And then, in fact, he went and brought his supervisor, and then he explained the same thing to her. And then she ended up saying, okay, if you don't give me sugar, can you give me a coffee? And he brings a coffee, and he has a couple of cubes of sugar on side of the coffee. And then what it meant to her, what she learned is, in Japan, the way they approach is, they want to correct someone who they believe, like, does not know what the right thing is. Whatever the right thing that, like, is, like, not adding a sugar to a green tea, right? So that has been their custom, and that's what just happened. Whereas if you think about it in the US way, right, Burger King, or if you go to a Starbucks, right, the Starbucks, one of the slogans they say is, like, so happiness is in your choice. Meaning, it's just a cafe shop. You look at a menu and given the options, because you are the one paying, you should have everything, like, what you want. So this is a kind of a scenario we are in right now, right? And the second one, you work with an organization supporting process, like, which is what, like, a BPO and, like, many of us are doing here. And you go through a lot of different scenarios, and you set up a process to handle certain process in a way, or like, or you apply this kind of a logic, or you go through this kind of a, like, key points, ask these kind of a questions, and then give them the solution, right? So do you think all the customer facing, like, ambassadors, that is agents, are going to be, like, having a scenario that are, like, given by as defined in your book? Probably not, right? So how are they going to be able to, like, judge, or what is the freedom that they have, or, like, what kind of a tool that they have that enables them to do their job? That's what, like, we are going to be, like, looking at. So The other scenario is the retail experience. This is another common one where, like let's say you have a product that you have sold to a customer, and then customer coming back to a showroom asking, can I add this feature, because I think adding that feature is going to be making this much more useful for me. And then you, like, the salesperson is giving him the quote for the adding that particular feature, and then he says, oh, that's going to be like, too costly. Probably it is not going to work out for me. Maybe like, in the future. So he walks away. Few months after, this company have decided to slash the feature, like the rate for these new features, because like, the new technology, right? And we are rolling out new features every day. So it's come down by 60%. Now what? Like everybody is given like, all the information, pamphlets, everything going out. But there is a low-hanging fruit, right? Somebody have come to you and asked for that particular feature. Do you have that information somewhere? Is that information is being given to some other ambassadors to reach back to this person, like, to go back and then, hey, this is what we have, like, would you like to, like, enroll for these features now, right? Are you ready for that or not? Like, if you are set up for that or not. Like, your technology, does it support? Or how you are using that technology for in this particular case, right? So same thing, like a standard operating procedure. But we have, like, put ourselves in a constraint, whereas, like, this is what we want to do. This is the, like, book of, like, the lines of how I want to follow. And then there are going to be customers, there are going to be scenarios that are not going to fall into that, like, scenario, like, by the book at all, like, where it is going to demand a different kind of action, right? So, for example, like, if, like, I'll go to the the examples in a little bit later where we are talking about the technology. So 2 times more call. This is one of the, like, another scenario where for any business, you could have a busy time or lean time, or it could be like, if you are in a business of a show business, right? So some of our customers are in the show business, and then when they're having a show, the number of calls come to them at that point of time is like, humongous, and then it drops down, right? So what do you do? How would you handle that, right? So are you, like, what kind of a technology you are going to be, like, using to your advantage to make sure you don't, like, leave any customers out. At the same time, your agents are, like, happy and they are not burned out, and, like, you are able to deliver the best of your, like, services, right? So how do you enhance all these different scenarios, like, and everything, like, what kind of a technology, and, like, how we are going to go about it? So first thing is, like, want to highlight here, rather than the technology or anything, culture eats service for breakfast, right? We just altered this statement. It was, like, told by one of the person called, what's his name? Peter Drucker. So what he made is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. This is the, like, the line that he came up with. Why he came up with that is, he believes you can have a extraordinary strategy, very good product, like, everything is superb and you are ready to roll, right? But is success, like, assured for that company? Or, like, are you going to, like, take over the whole world, or how is it going to work? Maybe, maybe not. Why? What could be the reason that you are not going to be successful? If your employees are not aligned, if they are not, like, bought into your idea, it is just killed right there. It will never take off, right? So what he says is, it has to be instilled every day. So just like how you have a breakfast, that's how you instill that kind of a culture on a daily basis till, like, it becomes their habit. Then you will see the success, because they are going to be able to, like, make sure the technology and, like, whatever the features that you are having is applicable for the customer. At the end of the day, you are there to solve some of the problems for customers. That's all to it. Don't even think about what technology, what Gen AI is going to do, what this. No, it doesn't matter. All I care is what problem I'm going to solve. That's all it matters. And you need your employees to be your ambassador for that, right? So employee experience and customer experience, how it goes hand in hand. So if your employees are not happy, naturally the experience, what they are going to give it to your customer is probably not going to be like, the top notch. So what you have to do, you have to do whatever it takes to keep your employee happy, meaning it need not be like, just a compensation, it need not be like, this or that. It can be as simple as recognizing their effort. Like, who did, like, the previous session, somebody was talking about the hero, right? So the hero, like, recognizing the hero for the day, it need not be like, result in any money or anything. It can be just a verbal. It can just be a recognition of, like, in front of their colleagues, the team, whatever it can be. Like, how do you keep up with that? Make that as a culture within your company. Hey, if I do a good job, there is like, recognition. Like, everybody knows that I am doing this. So they are feeling empowered, and like, they are there to deliver the best of the best. And like, that's the way, like, you can enhance it, right? So the watermelon effort is one of the things. There is a survey that says 80% of the brands think that they are giving the best customer service to their customers. But the truth is, the same survey finds only 8% of their customers think that they are giving the best customer service. So remaining 92% of this 80% of these customers think that they are not doing a good job. That means they are still being your customer because you are lucky for that day, because they have not come across some other better, platform or experience. Like, you could be losing them anytime. So again, having a right technology, like, how well you are going to, like, make sure that fits into the, like, the game, and how you are going to use that, like, to solve their problems, right? That's what is going to drive you the better, like, experience and the better business. So customer expect reassurance. Well, you have all kind of a problem, and like, you have set up SOP, you have covered everything. Now, there is a situation, there is going to be a failure. It is not in your control, right? You work with partners, you work with telco. There may be, like, fiber cut somewhere. There may be, like, some other power outage. What do you do? It is not under your control. Now what do you do? What I call that is important is being predictable during unpredictable. Meaning, there is something we can control, there is something we cannot control. That is, anything you go with a partner, anything you depend on external, you cannot control. It can go down anytime. So what you have to do, you have to be able to reach out, or like, make sure your customers are informed, or they are in the loop, what is happening. Be honest, give them the realistic picture of when is it going to be up, or do whatever, or like, we will be there, and this is the situation, and like, so we can give you this kind of alternative. Do whatever it is. Be predictable to your customer, meaning whatever happens, he thinks, hey, he won't let me down. He will be there to help me. That is what is going to help you, like, retain the customer in the current scenario. So empower your agent, bring in answerability as well, right? Empowering your agent, like in the previous panel also they were talking about, what are the things that you can do? It need not be money, it need not be anything. But in some cases, like, Ritz-Carlton, right? They give $2,000 as a discretionary for every of their, like, the agents when they are dealing with the customers, right? That means he can make a decision to make sure he keeps that particular customer happy, but they still make him answerable for whatever that thing he did, why he did, or like, what did result, right? So it is at their discretion. So they don't have to come back to you, which might be very familiar to you. Sir, can you hold on for 2 minutes? I have to talk to my supervisor and then get back. How many times you have heard that, right? So when you are already calling for a problem, this is the last thing you want to hear, like, and then you are holding, and like, goes every second feels like a minute or like, hour, right? So that's not a fun experience at all. So Why I want to highlight this one, the fifth point here is this is where the technology, the AI, Gen AI, or real-time assistants, virtual assistants, or the bots, or everything come together. Now you are having a good employee, happy employee, and who is empathetic about your company and your product, and he knows your service, he knows your platform. He is there to take advantage of every feature and then give the best experience to your customers. That is the best case scenario. So the employee is good, employer is good, and the culture is good, and the mood is good, and they have a good product, and they have everything working together to make sure they have the freedom of empowering the agents to deliver it day by day. That is what is going to keep these ambassadors happy. Other panel was saying, how do you keep them motivated every day? What job they are doing is not like a rocket science, but at the same time, please remember, it is not easy to do the same thing again and again. Listening to somebody else's problem is not easy to do. You do it for 5 minutes, you will know the difficulty of doing it. It is just very, very difficult task. So putting the right use of the technology in this way is is a good one. So the sixth point, I will give you an example. This happened to me just 2 weeks back. I booked in the United Airlines. I booked vacation coming back to India, bringing my family back to India in the summer. So I booked a ticket, and then usually 24 hours it takes to give a confirmation because they have to give a connection flight confirmation from Air India and everything. So I did not get a confirmation email after 24 hours, and then I was busy, and then a few days went by, and then I called them. They said, sir, the ticket has been not issued. I asked why. There has been some problem, let me get back to you. So the problem is Air India has shifted one of their flight time from 8:50 arrival time to 8:45. They have preponed it by 5 minutes. And they sent a notification back to United Airlines saying 5 minutes change is there. So you want to check with your customer that he is okay with this change before confirming. And United Airlines, usually they're good in sending the email, but maybe this happened within 24 hours of the booking. This condition was not handled by them for whatever reason, and they never got back to me. So everything fell through the crack, right? So if you are thinking that agent is a cost center, now imagine this. These 3 tickets, what I booked, about $9,000, and they could have lost it because I was ready to book in Air India, right? But then he said, no, sir, wait. I will make sure, we reissue the same ticket, which he did in 15, 20 minutes wait time. So the $9,000 revenue, probably not a big deal for United Airlines, but what I'm saying is, it is a lot bigger revenue for that particular ambassador for what he did that day. It is not a cost center. It is just not a cost center. So think twice saying that it's a cost center. It is not. Act on the feedback. Whenever you get a feedback, I always tell my customers, I always educate them. You would rather have a customer who complains to you. It might, you might think it is not intuitive, but think about it this way. Who would complain to you? Your kids will complain to you. Why your kids are complaining to you? Because they like you, because they trust you, because they expect something from you. Who don't complain to you? Who don't have a trust with you, who don't expect to do any business with you, they don't complain to you. They leave you silently. So who would you have? You would rather have a person who complains. So don't think that is a negative thing. That is a positive thing. That he cares. He cares about your service. So be upfront, explain, and do something to take care of them. That's all you are there to do in the business for, right? What more? So the intelligent as a starting, but this is the final touch. This again, the AI, the Gen AI, the bots. You have to use bots, yes. You have to use the Gen AI, yes. How you want to do it? Start small. Pick a small use case where it is predictable, where you can make sure that you can take away that problem and then train a bot, and that bot can handle it, and I can free up some of my agents, and I can give a better experience for all rest of the the customers. That should be the approach. You cannot just go and then put whole transform showing up in the movie. That will never happen. You are setting yourself up for a failure, right? So why I want walking you through everything step by step like this. Why I'm reiterating happy employee, knowledgeable employee, and then empathetic employee, and then how knowledgeable, what is the culture, everything is. Tool, folks, is not a big thing. Software is not a big thing because it's ultimately commodity. If I don't have a feature, I can add it in a week or 2 weeks or a month. It is as simple as that. But employees, culture, and empathy, you cannot do it in a week or a month. It takes years. It takes years. And it takes hard work. If you see who all are the successful companies, who all are doing really well, it is not just the technology. You might see the technology on the top. It is actually not the top. It is just one part of it. So let's remember that. And if you have any questions, we'll be here for the whole day to answer any of your questions in terms of the CX, because we are in this business for 25 years, serving 2,000 plus customers worldwide. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, sir.